Hello all. Excuse the mess. I've had a bunch of stuff, some updates to do, but I'm just gonna stick with this one for now. But I've got a slash since I last did a video. I'm gonna do something on that. But I just wanted to keep going with my monster build here because quite a bit's happened with it. Not sure if I mentioned the super swampers, but I probably did. But anyway. Got them mounted up on these Vanquish rims I got. Licensed Vanquish rims. I really like the rims. I really like the tires. The foam were a little hard when I first got them, but they've kind of softened out a little bit here. Plus, this truck is heavy. I haven't weighed it yet, but it's got to be 25 pounds. I'll get to weight issues in a bit. Actually, I might as well just... as you can see from Scx10-2 here, you got that forward battery mount, which is great for rock crawling, but this baby's very front heavy, very. It's a little better now because I've weighted one of the wheels, but what I'm doing is, I did the one wheel already, I still gotta do the other. I ran out of weights anyway. I'm gonna put these weights in the rear wheel, and I'm going to stick with just the rear wheels for now, and I think that's going to help me out quite a bit, because right now she's tippy. Going over a rock like this, she is top heavy, because you see I got that 3S mounted vertically. Just with this servo here and the linkage and everything, it squeezes everything out and messes up the camber if you try to run that flat. I may at some point actually move it to the back. This is still a work in progress. That's kind of why I'm doing these videos, just so I can see my progress as I go here, and what's worked, what hasn't worked, and maybe I can save some people some money, or give them some ideas, or they can comment some ideas for me, which is what I'm really looking at, because I watch and subscribe to tons of people. Tons of people. Anyway, I made a little battery tray here. I'm going to be all over the place with this probably, but bear with me. Made a battery tray, cut that flush, put some supports beneath it, and then I used styrene, and I melted it together and then just sanded it into one solid block. That's solid. It's taken me a few different attempts to get this secured. It popped off a couple times, but I've got these mounts here, or these white tubing styrene that I've melted to everything. Everything's melted together. I got an extra strap there just holding that down. That 3S is heavy when this thing's tumbling. And yeah, it seems to be working. As I said, I might move it to the back, or just leave a back option here and just play around with it, you know. As I said, go and work up. I really like the tires. Not as good as the Pro lines, but we'll get to that on my other video on my Blazer. Has steering linkage issues because of this big angle. Sheared off a bolt. I've used a shorter bolt. Messed with the angle a little bit more to kind of give it some space. But I might end up going to a diff-mounted servo for steering at some point. I don't want to do it in interest of scale, but for this one we'll see. Or I might just replace bolts and steering servo linkages. Are not expensive. Lift kit came in. Very impressed. Those links for those, and that dropping your whole center of gravity, given those dimensions. I've extended the front and the rear wheel base to max to make everything fit. She's 12.4, I think, just 12.4.5. Yeah, I had to mess with it all. I also had to mount the motor backwards, and I had to go with the smaller Vanquish transmission, which I love, by the way. I just think it looks, well, it's a quarter the size of the Scx10-2 one, and it's nice aluminum and small, and I had to cut out a little bit of frame there just to get her in. I've noticed a lot of torque twist on this thing. We'll get into that in a minute. Well, I might as well do it now, otherwise I forget. She torque twists just even a little. She goes like this. I got to rigid up the frame. I'm going to do steel or aluminum frame mount over the 3S. I have just enough room under this, over the 3S, under this mount to get it. Keep that tight. It cambers out. It's just, I'm also going to upgrade these shock mounting plates to the Vanquish aluminums. I just don't have $70 right now for that. But yeah, that, and then the smaller transmission, this motor is really torquey. Okay, it's for a 1/8. It's brushless. I don't have the program card for it. I've been waiting in the mail for it. It's coming. But that's, you know, I'm running a 1/8 and an Scx10-2, so I understand I'm going to have a little extra torque twist. I'm impressed with the motor. The ESC came advertised as waterproof. It was not. I waterproofed it myself. Not pretty, but has been effective since I've done it. I've used a mixture of DAP and RTV black. Don't ask me why. I'm just trying stuff out. This combo is $100, so, you know, I'm experimenting here. What's happened, I originally designed this just so I could take it out in the mud and throw some mud around and have a lot of fun. But as I've taken it in my little backyard course, which I'll do a video on at some point as well, it's a pretty capable crawler. Now, it's not as capable as my Blazer that I've done a bunch of upgrades to, but I'll get into that. But it can be. I just got to get my weights right and some other things right, and one of those things is I'm going to switch back to a brushed motor, an ESC, probably a Homes Hobby, and the only reason is I don't have the programming card yet, and with this brushed motor it not being the most, it's not a Tekin setup or a Mamba, so it's not the most expensive, and those low end, or, you know, when you're just trying to feather that throttle crawling, it's not touchy enough like a brushed, you know. It's just not there for rock crawling. So it's kind of hit or miss. Sometimes it's really good, and then sometimes you just get that extra boost of, you know, power that you don't want, and you end up flipping over. And so I'm because it's kind of changed what I ended up going to be doing with it. I'm going to run with a brushed, as I said, a Homes Hobby 35 turn, maybe something like that, like I run on my Blazer. And I'll keep this aside and use it if I want to go in the mud or whatever. The ESC, or put in something else, whatever. As I said, it's really easy to do, and I might even have the room to get motor in right side, because that was what was stopping me. And on the 35T on my Blazer, it just clears that, so, but I don't care. Stick with the aluminum transmission, and it's kind of what we're going with there. As I said, I had to waterproof. I did the old, I took it out, it died. Anyway, I opened the case. It was just full of water. They got one gasket. So if you buy one of these, they're the, as I said, they're not bad. They're the Surpass hobby motor. I'll do a link at some point of all this stuff, actually, that I have bought. I'll link it all for you guys, or whoever's watching. You guys can check it out for yourselves. But, yeah. So anyway, it's full of water. Took it apart. Got the water out, did the bowler ice thing, worked, because it wasn't sealed where any of the cables go in, it wasn't sealed where the power wires come out, motor wires come out, it wasn't sealed, these capacitors, it wasn't sealed. So yeah, I had that, sealed it all up. It's been great since then. As I said, I haven't been any big mud holes or nothing yet, but she hasn't, ESC hasn't skipped a beat. We're talking about the controller. I didn't have a controller for this last time, so I went with the Rigid Spectrum Rugged, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time. It might be a really long video, but this thing's pretty cool. I've barely explored with it. As I said, I got it programmed to this truck. It's great. What I like is it does actually feel, you know, a lot more like, I got 4 controllers here now. The Traxxas. I got this knockoff Fly Sky off Amazon because it's got like 6 channels. So I just wanted a bunch of channels. I put it on the Blazer. Great little remote, but it, you know, it feels kind of cheap. The Traxxas one, this is one of my favorite remotes, actually. But compared to the Rigid, it's just not there. You pay some money, and this is $250 Canadian. Come with the transmitter, and yeah, lots of options, lots of stuff to play with. The keypad gets a little bit of getting used to because it's waterproof, right? So you kind of roll it, and it does. You'll see once you play with it. The thumb paddle, for thumb steering, I'm going to definitely be using this and try some one-headed steering. And, yeah. Sorry, a little bit distracted there. I will say, I have big hands. You need to have big hands to be doing this. My thumb barely reaches that. And, you know, a whole different ball game doing something like this. But yeah, really like it. And again, my son, he likes to play with my stuff. Sets it down, throws it down. Let him use this one. Not such a concern. So yeah. On a recommendation, I switched to 80 weight in my shocks. I've blown 3 of the 4 out, I think, now. Just the cheap shocks. They're not great out of the box, and you start putting 25 pounds of truck and 80 weight oil in them, and they don't last. Got some on Amazon coming in. My buddy got a set. He says they were great, so I'm going to go with that. I'm going to give him a try. And we'll, of course, let you guys know how those worked out for me. You know what? The lift kit, I went over that. It was a really good install. Really easy. Another thing I was impressed with was the servo. $27 servo. Now, there's been videos for these. I'm not the first guy to sing this thing's praises, but it really is good. Like, it'll snap those servos before. Like, it will push the whole truck using the steering, you know. And I'm running it right off the receiver, no extra BECs or whatever. And I can't remember what the rating exactly is, 183, but you're getting all 183. Like, it's a really good servo so far. Longevity, I can't tell you, but yeah, I am absolutely impressed. And then I got my body in. Finally, I got my Dodge, and I screwed up on the windows. I won't tell you how, so I'm gonna have to black them out. But I'm trying to get this lined up. Not working. This is live, you know. I don't do any editing, so you're gonna see this in all its painfulness. All its painfulness. Anyway, there we are. I really like it. As I said, I was going for the look of my truck. Pretty close. The paint, I went with a pearl. It really turned out nice. I went with a pearl white, and then I used regular white. And I'm not sure if that's going to show up very good on here, but it really turned out the way I wanted it to. There we go. What I did is to get that, you know, metallic white pearl. I did the first coat really light, give it something to stick on, that pearl, and then I did really light again just to give something to stick on of the regular gloss white, and then I did my pearl, and then I did the white, and I just kept looking. I go, okay, want a little more. Kind of played with it a bit, and you know, maybe 2 coats of the pearl and then 1 coat of white, or vice versa. And we're talking 9 coats probably, really slow, really light coats, and let them quickly dry. And, you know, I'm 80% happy with this paint job. I missed a couple spots over here, and didn't take right here, and I just hide some stuff with some decals. But, you know, I'm new at this. And well, I shouldn't say I'm new. I used to do Warhammer figures, but it's been 20 years, so... yeah, I'm going to tint out these windows, and I'm really happy with the way the body turned out. And this is going to be my banger body anyway, because I'm going to do a styrene for a shelf queen. Get into that after. I got some running boards up here, plastic ones I was told to go with. They slide better, I guess. That's just what I was told. Maybe be on backwards. Anyway, that's next. So, metal bumper. With the worn winch mount, I'm going to go with a winch and a light mount, and that will be it. So I got that Spectrum 5-channel. So I need 2 more channels. I'll have them just for the winch and that, and the shocks, and it's pretty much like good to go. As I said, I was going to go with the Vanquish axles. I will eventually, but it's a big expense. I got 3 cars I'm working on here, and these are fine. These are great. You know what I mean? Like, maybe change the gearing in there. I'm going to probably dye them black. Just, I the red sticks out, but I already upgraded the ones in the Blazer with the Rancho, and I'll show those in the video. They're split. They're really nice. But for this one, I just buy in black, you know. As I said, 2S or 3S, this truck's really capable. As I said, I'm going to go with that brush motor setup just because I really do want to do rock crawling with this thing. This is kind of like my experiment. I've done everything to this from the ground up. I've showed, you know what I mean, like Scx10 up. So it's kind of labor of love, and it's just nice to see your mission or whatever getting to its end result. And as I said, it's kind of a new thing for me. It's been a long time. I've never done RC. I used to do Warhammer and some painting models when I was a kid, but radio control is not something I've really got into. Never played with a good one. Just cheap knockoff toys, I guess. And even my wife, when we were driving these out in the backyard the other day, she wouldn't give me the controller back. She was having a blast. My kid's having a blast. It's really good family fun. And joined a couple of clubs already, Facebook clubs, rock dogs around here near Vernon, and they've been really great, really informative, really helpful. And yeah, if I've forgotten anything in this video, or you see anything on here and you're questioning or just wondering why I did something or asking what do you think, whatever, just please. My background's more as a mechanic, so I still do call stuff by mechanical parts. I had someone correct me about calling a steering silver arm a Pitman arm, but, you know, trying to get my point across and what I'm trying to say. Yeah, next video is going to be on the Blazer, and then I'll do a third one on this, and LiPo's charged. And, yeah, please like, subscribe, comment anything you want, questions, yeah, if I've said something incorrect, as I said, I'm new, and a lot of my information I get offline as well, or I get from other RCers, and not everything's correct, but I'm never purposely trying to steer anybody wrong. And if anybody has some, as I said, point me in the right direction, that's exactly why I'm doing these videos and trying to figure this stuff out. Talk to you guys later.